What's up, world? It's your girl Kaya B in the morning, and you are now watching Critical Race Theory on 105.m with your hosts Jorge, Jordan, and Kaya. Welcome.
What's up, people? For today's topic, we'll be talking about critical race theory and why I believe that it should be taught in these public schools, these United States of America.
And I will be talking about why the controversy around the critical race theory and why we need to promote it more in our schools. And now we're going to pass it off to our good friend and co-host, Mr. Jorge himself, and he will be talking to you about giving a brief description about what critical race theory is and why it's important.
Thank you, Kai. So yes, as she said, I will be talking about what critical race theory is and why it's important. So first, let's start off by defining what is critical race theory. Critical race theory, or sometimes abbreviated as CRT, is simply known as the theory that states that the U.S. system already has sort of like racism bias in place in our rules, regulations, whether it be our criminal justice system, our education system, or anything like that. It started back in about the 1980s, about 40 years ago, and it is still a prevalent topic to this day, especially with all the what people would say the injustice going on with the police officers wrongly killing people of color, or students who go to certain schools are being treated differently than those of a different skin color. And that's pretty much why it's still being talked about today and an important issue. The background of it is pretty much just that it came about when people were realizing that there is something more to it than just, racism. Even though seems like we're taking care of the problems already, it is still happening now. And that's when the conversation that there are already racism in our own rules and regulations. But that's pretty much the brief history. Back to you, Kai.
Thank you, Jorge, for that wonderful introduction on what critical race theory is and its description and why it's important. Now, I pass it over to our good friend, Mr. Jordan.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jordan Reed, and I'm going to be talking about why I believe that critical race theory should be taught in the public schools. The reason for that is because this country needs to teach about its true history. Because the truth to be told, this country was made off of people of color, through slavery, through the White House being built by slaves, through land, capitalism, etc. I think that for us, if we want to be a better country, we gotta be honest. We gotta be honest about why it happens, why this country is still doing its racist things, why we go out there and protest. We don't protest for nothing. We protest for basic human rights. And that's why I believe, and for the future, our children, if we want to have a better future, we got to teach the children the truth. So that's why I believe critical race theory should be taught in schools.
Thank you, Jordan. And hey, before you go, isn't there controversy surrounding critical race theory?
To white people.
Why you say to white people though?
Because white people don't want their kids to know the truth.
But,
because here's in their mind, they believe that if you teach my children to hate themselves, quote unquote, they gonna go against the community, because white supremacy wants to keep their supremacy.
But here's the thing about it, but also there's not just white, it's not just Caucasian Americans. There's people all over the world who feel that critical race theory is not important because they only focus on the negative parts of history. And honestly, in truth,
how we gonna focus on the positives if we don't bring the negatives?
Yeah, exactly.
How we gonna make everything positive if we ain't too concerned about negative? Because the negative stuff is still happening to this day.
Right, but it's also think about the educators. So some educators choose to talk about the negative. So how can we even enforce the critical race theory onto people, or even put it in our education system and make sure that the educators actually do their job properly and not just talk about the negativity around it?
Well, me personally, I believe that us black people, we need to teach our children the true history. I think we need to go to the churches, go to the organizations, the black organizations, the NAACP, and just help our children, help our youth, teach them about themselves and teach them the truth.
But also we have to make sure that when we're teaching these to our children and our future generations, that we don't block out our own problems and issues that we've had throughout the history as well, because it was our own people who in some cases sold us to the Europeans. So we can't block out that history too. We have to make it clear to everyone who, when we teach this type of segment or type of topic to the younger generation, that we have to touch on all bases. We can't just say that, because there are Europeans who sold to other Europeans out of slavery because they were indentured servants or any type of topic. You have to talk about the full picture, you know. And that's why I feel that this is such a huge controversy, because a lot of people feel that you're skipping over parts. I say, okay, and the real question I have to ask people out there, if you're watching this, what can we do to make sure that we don't skip over everyone's history? Because we talk sometimes in the education system, and personally as a former education major myself, I've noticed that we skipped over a lot of the history. Especially Native American history. They were the first taught us. Why don't we talk about that more in school? You know, we talk about black history, we talk about white history, we talk about Spanish history and all that type of stuff, but why don't we talk about Native American history? They were the first settlers on this land, and honestly, if we can be honest for a minute, that type of stuff that critical race theory could help promote and help push that positivity out into the world instead of just building on the negativity of it. And people who feel that critical race theory is irrelevant or shouldn't be taught in school, you have every right to your opinion, but please understand that critical race theory could be a step towards progress. And people say it all the time, but it really could be a step towards it, because it allows people to really get to know what exactly happened and have an honest conversation. And then for people who say that, for people who say that they don't want to remember, you have every right to. But at the same time, don't deny that it didn't happen. It happened. It was real, and it was there. You can't deny it, because it's all in the history books. It's told throughout history. It's told around the world. You can't deny it. And if you try to deny it, it's just like denying a part of yourself. It's going to make you sick. You have now been watching Critical Race Theory news segment with your host,
Jorge.
Kaya.
And Big Jordan.
Thank you for watching, guys.
Thank you guys. See ya.
Yeah.
Bye.